और, और मैं लाइव भी कर देता हूँ। हितेश भाई, आई हैव डन फ्रॉम माय पार्ट। थोड़ा सा अगर आप चाहें तो इनफॉर्मली मोबाइल पर चेक कर लीजिए कि लिंक है आपके उसमें।
हाँ जी दिख रहा है।
थोड़ा सा एक बार
हाँ
मोबाइल में देख लीजिए कि
हाँ जी, हो गया
हो गया। थैंक यू वेरी मच। So एक informal discussion on Chhayankan was invited. So what in few words what I would like to put कि ऐसा कुछ स्पेशल और खास करने के इरादे से नहीं है, क्योंकि 50 और मोर देन 50 ईयर्स से बहुत सारी संस्थाएं बहुत बड़ा बड़ा काम कर रही हैं, और फोटोग्राफी अगर इंडिया में जहां पहुंची है ये उन्हीं लोगों की देन है। तो छायांकन उन लोगों से कुछ सीखा है, छायांकन के जो फाउंडर्स हैं उन लोगों से कुछ पाए। तो हमारा भी काम है कि उस मूवमेंट को आगे लेके जाना है, और क्योंकि एक साथ कुछ लोग नहीं कर सकते, सभी का हाथ जुड़ना है। तो हर लोग हर एरिया में काम कर रहे हैं, और हमारा काम है कॉम्प्लीमेंटिंग द एफर्ट व्हाट पीपल आर डूइंग। डेफिनेटली छायांकन के पीछे एक मिशन है, एक मोटिव है, और वो मोटिव इज वेल डिफाइंड इन वन वर्ड्स, आवर ऑब्जेक्टिव प्रमोटिंग क्रिएटिव एंड सोशल फोटोग्राफी। Creative photography is very commonly known and understood by everyone. But social photography is an dimension which I wanted to add. We wanted to add, I would really put together. मैं और विजय सर ने जब इस पर डिस्कस किया, क्योंकि social photography is one thing which makes the photography more purposeful for many. अब फोटो जर्नलिस्ट हैं, वो बहुत फोटो लेते हैं, लेकिन वो एक इवेंट को, एक टाइम को रिकॉर्ड करते हैं, शेयर करते हैं। उसमें भी सोशल फोटोग्राफी काफी कुछ है। हम लोग डे टू डे में मोबाइल से हर जगह पिक्चर्स खींच रहे हैं। हम एक पॉजिटिव मैसेज के साथ अगर सोशल फोटोग्राफी करते हैं तो वो हमारी मतलब फोटोग्राफ को डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट देता है। जैसे हमारे छायांकन का ही जो एक फेसबुक ग्रुप है वो मेंबर्स ओनली ग्रुप है, उसमें हम लोग कोई भी वॉक इन कैन नॉट ज्वाइन। If someone is a life member, then only they can take. Some 341 people are participating. उसमें डॉक्टर पंकज शर्मा ने एक फोटोग्राफ पोस्ट की, जिसमें कि वो साइकिल का एक पीछे पेंटिंग है और उसके आगे एक साइकिल के साथ है। दिस इज अ ब्यूटीफुल सोशल फोटोग्राफी पिक्चर, क्योंकि आज एनवायरनमेंट के लिए, हेल्थ के लिए साइकिलिंग को बहुत प्रमोट करना है, और इतनी 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 ब्यूटीफुली वो मैसेज कन्वे हुई, वो स्टोरी कन्वे हुई उस पिक्चर में, कि वो एक पॉजिटिव मैसेज है सोशल फोटोग्राफी की। उसी तरीके से एक और मेंबर ने फोटो पिक्चर उसमें पोस्ट की, जिसमें एक फिजिकली डिसेबल्ड जो है बॉम्बे में वीटी में इतनी चौड़ी सड़क क्रॉस कर रहा है, तो एक पुलिसमैन उसको हेल्प कर रहा है क्रॉस कराते हुए, और उसका कॉम्पोजिशन भी बहुत खूबसूरत है, और वो पिक्चर पॉजिटिव है और बहुत अच्छी सोशल फोटो। सो वी वांट टू से दैट दिस पर्टिकुलर पर्पस टू बी मोर एनहांस। ऐसा नहीं है कि सोशल फोटोग्राफी पहले से नहीं हो रही है, बट वी आर ट्राइंग टू ब्रिंग द फोकस टुवर्ड्स इट। सो दैट्स अबाउट द सोशल फोटोग्राफी, एंड definitely we have lined up a number of activities in Chhayankan, जिसमें जो कि हमारे इन दोनों ऑब्जेक्टिव्स को ध्यान में रखते हुए हम लोगों ने रखी है। हमारी कुछ एक्टिविटीज के बारे में मैं 2-4-5 मिनट बाद बोलना चाहूंगा, जैसे वेबिनार्स हैं, वर्कशॉप्स हैं, ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स हैं, उसमें क्या है और क्या हमारा मंशा है। मेंबरशिप को भी लेकर के हमारे क्या दृष्टिकोण है छायांकन के, मैं उसको भी आप लोगों के बीच में एक मिनट या 2 मिनट में शेयर करूंगा। इस समय जो अपने पास उपलब्ध है उसको यूज कर रहे हैं। इस बीच में अगर किसी का, if anyone is having any question related to Chhayankan, because we still have 3 minutes in hand to begin the webinar. in between, if anyone wants to ask a question, you're most welcome, sir. विजय सर, आप भी कुछ कॉम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं मेरे व्यूज को.
नहीं, खैर अभी तो पब्लिक हो चुके हैं अपन लोग. वर्कशॉप का रिस्पांस कैसा आ रहा है?
वर्कशॉप का रिस्पांस सर काफी अच्छा जा रहा है. अभी तो हम लोगों ने प्रायोरिटी मेंबर्स के लिए खोल रखा है और करीब हमारे पास 30 सीट हैं और उसमें करीब 32 नाम तो ऑलरेडी आ चुके हैं और 6 लोगों के पेमेंट्स आए हैं और बाकी लोगों ने, कई लोगों ने प्रॉमिस किया है कि जल्दी से अभी 1-2 दिन की, तो भी हम लोगों ने 7 अगस्त तक का जो समय दिया है मेंबर्स के लिए प्रायोरिटी टाइम, वो वेट कर रहे हैं सर बिफोर वी प्रमोट टू अदर्स. दैट इज अबाउट वाराणसी देव दीपावली वर्क. जय, उसमें हमारी जयश्री जी भी है और she is already there amongst these 6 people.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
I think we can start.
We should start, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm privileged and proud to, very happy to welcome you all today in this webinar. We have many esteemed guests who have also joined, and definitely all the participants are contributing in a big way to the world of photography, and each one of us are learning from their wonderful, beautiful work. This particular webinar, the topic, the composition beyond the basics, that is what we have chosen to support our beginners and amateurs, because they have a lot of questions in their mind. Bijay sir has very nicely prepared this webinar to address everyone's query and make it a very learning oriented webinar. So before I proceed further with the introduction of our today's guest, more about the webinar, I would like to put a few words about Chhayankan to all. I've already informally shared certain things. So Chhayankan is I would say, amongst the photography organizations where we have 50 years and 50 years more than 50 years old organizations working strongly in the country consistently. We are a baby organization which has started just hardly few months back. Our first round of membership was closed on 31st of May with 800 members on board, and we decided to keep the membership closed, not for any other reason, but we wanted to put, basically it's not the only that we keep taking members, it's more important to service.
आपका आवाज नहीं आ रहा है.
हेलो, अनम्यूट कर दीजिए आपको. हेलो अमिताभ जी.
Yes, Avanji. So we put our house in order, and thereafter we'll again open the membership for others. In between, we have initiated certain activities which is in place. So basically, Chhayankan looks forward to promote creative and social photography by organizing or by catering to with certain activities, organizing photography workshops, online training programs, photography webinars, photography contests and exhibitions, expert guidance forum, self-learning resources, member network. Each one of them have distinctive advantage. None of these activities are like just the repetition of the other activity. Rather, they are complementing to the complete whole process. As an organization, Chhayankan is not just a club or not just a group. It's more a pool of resources which is available to member For an individual member, sometimes to connect with so many people become very difficult. They do not know even the people who to reach and who to talk about. Even I am receiving constantly inquiries about, I have not participated in any Salon. How I am going to, how can I participate in Salon? What is Salon? Those questions are also there. What is distinctions? Now the various webinars are addressing to those queries, but we have an individual support system we are also creating so that individually members can be assisted by experts of the Chhayankan. That's in brief about, there is a lot to share about the activity. So we are planning a workshop, a webinar in time to come, where we will present the roadmap ahead of Chhayankan with detailed sharing of the activities. Those who are interested can take part in that particular webinar. Now today is a webinar, this activity. So about webinar, in the only thing we are focusing about the productivity and the purpose. So in every webinar we are advertising, we are not going for weekly webinar or very frequent webinars. So maybe 2 or 1 webinar in a month will come as per our objective planning. Every webinar has specific objectives and specific audience, which is well detailed in the poster so the interested people can look into it. When we look at the workshops, we have announced few workshops in time to come. 2 workshops are there, one in November and another in December. And everyone knows the importance of a workshop for our work. In our workshop, we are focusing on 4 deliverables. I will very specifically speak about. One is creativity, productivity, learning, and experience. I would not say that other workshops are not addressing 2. But you know, one thing is very clear, when we have our specific deliverables very clear in our mind, our entire set of activities get directed towards the same. Sorry, I am speaking quite a lot in English. मैं हिंदी में भी बोलता ही जाता हूँ, भूल गया इतनी देर में थोड़ा सा, मैं इंग्लिश में बात कर रहा था। अगर हम अपने उद्देश्यों को बहुत स्पष्ट तौर पे अगर हम बना के चलते हैं, तो हमारी सारी गतिविधियां उनकी तरफ निर्देशित होती हैं, डायरेक्टेड होती हैं। तो हम ये ध्यान रखते हैं कि हम वर्कशॉप की जो भी प्लानिंग करते हैं, जितने भी उसके सेशंस करते हैं, उसमें क्रिएटिविटी, इट डेफिनेटली गिव्स इनफ स्पेस फॉर द क्रिएटिव. It should not be just a photo tour. Productivity, we'll say that the time जो जितना भी समय आप दे रहे हैं, उस समय में इतनी बड़ी वर्क निकाल के जाएं. और ज्यादा करके वर्कशॉप पार्टिसिपेंट्स सैलेंस के लिए और इवन पोर्टफोलियो के लिए भी लोग आए हैं कि हम फलाने में अपना फलाने ऑनर या डिस्टिंक्शन के लिए अपना पोर्टफोलियो देना चाहते हैं और पूरा पोर्टफोलियो हम बनाना चाहते हैं. तो अगर वो पूरा पोर्टफोलियो के लिए बनाना चाहे, चाहे इतनी उनको अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलनी चाहिए कि वो उसको कवर कर. लर्निंग, जो लोग बिगिनर्स हैं और एमेच्योर्स भी ज्वाइन करते हैं, वो पूरा सीखे, वो ये ना हो कि उनको छोड़ दिया जाए. और एक्सपीरियंस, हम काफी पैसा खर्च करते हैं एक वर्कशॉप में, हम घर से निकलते हैं, ट्रैवल में खर्च होता है, रहने का खर्च होता है, आपकी हेल्थ, आपका समय और पूरा एक टोटल एक्सपीरियंस. आप जब लौटे तो इट शुड बी ए कंप्लीट फन फॉर यू एंड लर्निंग एंड एवरीथिंग. So that's about our workshop. Now, going beyond the Chhayankan, now the time is there when I should talk about our today's guest. I'm definitely very pleased to introduce today's expert and our chief guest, Mr. Bijay Kumar Agrawal, who is a family member definitely because he is a co-founder of Chhayankan. But at the same time, he is a very, very senior profile and very learned person in the field of photography with us. His knowledge to be shared amongst all is very, very important. Now, many times people feel that he is very well known, or any guest for that matter. So why to waste time on introducing? But I feel that it's important because we know some people, they are celebrity, they are big. But there are a lot of things about their aspect. So in 5 minutes, I will tell briefly about Bijay sir. Born on 15th February 1955 at Bolangir, Orissa, in a business family. So he comes from a business family and he is a businessman at the core. मारवाड़ी बंदे हैं और एकदम पक्का बिजनेसमैन है. तो अगर उनके साथ रहेंगे तो आप बिजनेस जरूर सीखेंगे. So do I am also learning. From childhood he had deep interest in games, so he's a sports person. तो जो लोग उनको नजदीक से जानते हैं वो जानते हैं कितने स्पोर्टिंग है वो. और वो इसके लिए आप देखेंगे कि वो बैडमिंटन, टेबल टेनिस, चेस, योगा. He was district champion in badminton and at the same time he represented in table tennis, badminton and table tennis in university. When he was a child, virtually a child, very young, his brother gifted him a Kodak box camera, and many of us who are senior citizens present here, they know that we have started our journey with the first box camera in hand. So to him, the only most beautiful part in his life that he was blessed with 5 sisters and lot of their friends, and being a young boy in the family, वो सभी बहनों और सभी दोस्तों के बहुत प्रिय थे. तो सभी को फोटो खिंचवानी होती थी और कैमरा इनके हाथ में होता था, तो सब इनको पकड़ते रहते थे, मेरा फोटो खींचो. He got an opportunity, or that is the secret that he became such a wonderful portrait photographer today. So कभी कभी हंसी खेल में भी कहाँ आदमी की जर्नी डायरेक्ट हो जाती है. That's what. So he came to Visakhapatnam. He is most commonly known that he is from Vizag, but he came to Visakhapatnam from Bolangir in 1981. So now it's about 40 years he has completed in Vizag, and he started his family business, continued his family business with trading in tires. तो ऑटोमोबाइल टायर्स का बिजनेस वहां शुरू किया, लेकिन इनका फोटोग्राफी का इंटरेस्ट बहुत पीछे था साथ में. और वहां पहुंचने के बाद उन्होंने कोरोमंडल कैमरा क्लब को ज्वाइन किया, और यंग और स्पोर्टिंग होने के करके कोरोमंडल कैमरा क्लब ने उनको जिम्मेदारी दी कि फर्स्ट ऑल इंडिया एग्जीबिशन वाइजैक में 1983 में इन्होंने ऑर्गेनाइज की. उस एग्जीबिशन में ही या उसके बाद की जो पहली एग्जीबिशन इन्होंने दी, उसमें 2 अवार्ड्स और एक सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ मेरिट मिला, जिसमें जो कि इनको एक ऐसी फोटोग्राफी जर्नी में ऑनर्स और डिस्टिंक्शन के ले गई आगे जो अनस्टॉपेबल रही. अब तक उनके 840 पिक्चर्स डिफरेंट 840 पिक्चर्स इन डिफरेंट एग्जीबिशंस में नेशनल इंटरनेशनल सैलेंस में एग्जिबिट हो चुकी हैं, और मोर देन 100 अवार्ड्स and certificates he has won. He was conferred with fellowship of India International Photographic Society, FIIPC, in 1999. That was the first distinction to come in fashion and advertisement section. There are, as far as I understand, there have been very few people to be conferred this this honor in this particular section. He got fellowship from Andhra Pradesh Photography Academy, FAPPA, in 2018, fellowship from Sigma Academy of Photography, FSAP, ESFIP Excellence in Service Federation of Indian Photography in February 2019, a coveted distinction from FIP. He was also awarded with Lifetime Achievement Award from Academy of Visual Media, New Delhi, received in 2007. He revived the defunct Vishakha Camera Club in 1990 and have already conducted 2 national and 3 international exhibitions in the city. He conducted many state level and national photography workshops at Araku, Bhimalipatnam, Khammam, Vijayawada, Rajamundry, Delhi, Jabalpur, Bangalore, Goa, Jamshedpur, Mumbai, Andaman, Thailand, Varanasi, Haridwar, Indore, and many other places. So, besides regular workshops at Visakhapatnam for beginners and professionals, which we keep doing. He is a regular faculty in national and international workshops and conventions of photography. He is a regular faculty for studio lighting for company like Kodak Limited, Vice President member of Andhra Pradesh State Academy of Photography, many one-man shows in Visakhapatnam and other places, a regular judge in photography salons, former chairman of Fashion and Advertisement Division of IIPC, founder of Seva Family Harmony at Save Family Harmony at Visakhapatnam. डाइवोर्स होने से बचाते हैं लोगों का, डाइवोर्स करवाते नहीं हैं सर. SFH in any organization that counsels couples in disputes and gives psychological and legal help. He takes regular weekend free photography classes for beginners and advanced photographers in Vizag. Besides photography activities, also actively associated with other associations like past honorary secretary of Rotary Club Visakhapatnam and a Paul Harris Fellow of Rotary International. Served as office bearer in Rajasthani Sanskrit Mandal and Agrawal Mahasabha, Present Secretary General of Andhra Pradesh Pradeshik Marwari Sammelan, past office bearer of Visakhapatnam Automobile Dealers Association, a regular judge in beauty pageants and other competition, a regular blood donor, selected and felicitated as the outstanding young person of AP by the JC's Club, felicitated as citizen eminence by District Collector for achievement of photography, founder of Chhayankan. He covered the prestigious event of Navy in Vizag, President's Fleet Review during President Abdul Kalam 2005 and IFR International Fleet Review in 2017. PM Narendra Modi and President Pranab Mukherjee were the guests of honor. And his catch line is, there is no stopping when your passion becomes your profession. I'm sure that I definitely try to do it at the fastest possible pace, but his biodata is very, very inspiring for anyone. We can see that he is not just a photographer, he is active in all different avenues. And since I know him very closely and personally, I see that he does not, not a single activity he takes lightly. If it is a non-profit activity, service activity, he gives the same concentration. If it is academic, he gives the same. And he is not casual about his profession also. He needs value for every minute to his clients. That's the most wonderful part of Bijay sir. With this introduction of Bijay sir, I request Bijay sir to take it forward and welcome all guests once again. Thank you. I can see 92 people are already in house, and that's beautiful. And thanks a lot. Bijay sir, please.
Good evening, friends. अमिताभ जी ने इतना बड़ा इंट्रोडक्शन देके मतलब इतना हाइप क्रिएट कर दिया है. यू आर गोइंग टू बी डेफिनेटली नॉट सो सेटिस्फाइड आफ्टर व्हाट ही हैज टोल्ड यू. लेकिन एनीवे, फॉर गिविंग मी दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी, आई एम थैंकफुल टू हिम एंड छायांकन. मैं अपने बारे में, उन्होंने काफी कुछ कहा है. मैं एक बहुत छोटी सी जगह में पैदा हुआ हूँ, एक बिजनेस फैमिली में. फोटोग्राफी जब मैं बहुत छोटा था, एक कैमरा भैया ने दे दिया था तो चालू किया था. तो ये कंपोजिशन क्या होता है, सीरियस फोटोग्राफी क्या होता है, वो गांव में कोई जानता भी नहीं था. FIP क्या है, IPC क्या है. 1981 में आई हैड टू कम टू विशाखापट्टनम टू एक्सपेंड आवर फैमिली बिजनेस ऑफ ऑटोमोबाइल टायर्स. तो लेकिन फोटोग्राफी हॉबी तो था ही. बिजनेस एक बार सेटअप हो जाने के बाद फिर I joined the local club. That time it was Coromandel Camera Club. और हम लोग मतलब 81 में आया था. 83 में ही एक ऑल इंडिया एग्जीबिशन हम लोग कंडक्ट किए. तो उसमें मेरे को याद है मिस्टर B राजन बाबू was one of the judge, Mr. K Ponuswamy was one of the judge, and one Mr. Sundar Raj from Bangalore, he was also a judge. So that was my first experience in participating in a salon. I was an organizer also. और ड्यूरिंग द जजिंग सेशन मतलब ये सब बातें होती थी. ये कंपोजिशन ठीक नहीं है, ये 2/3 में नहीं है, ये इसका लाइटिंग करेक्ट नहीं, तो एवरीथिंग वाज ग्रीक टू मी बिकॉज आई वाज द फर्स्ट टाइम आई वाज पार्टिसिपेटिंग, और मैं मतलब समझ नहीं रहा था कि अरे ये सब होता है, मेरे को पता ही नहीं है, और ये लोग कहाँ हैं और मैं कहाँ हूँ। लेकिन फॉर्चुनेटली या अनफॉर्चुनेटली उसमें भी मेरे को करीब 4 एक्सेप्टेंस मिल गए थे, एक सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ मेरिट भी मिल गया था। तो राजन बाबू उसमें थे, मतलब पर्टिकुलरली उन्होंने जो फोटो को मेरे को सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ मेरिट मिला था, मेरे को याद है, इट वाज ए फिगर स्टडी वर्क, एंड राजन बाबू हैड आल्सो इंटरेस्टेड इन फिगर स्टडी। तो पूछे ये फोटो किसका है, उन्होंने पूछा। तो जब निकाल के देखे वो मेरा था, तो वो बोले कि ही वांटेड टू मीट मी आफ्टर द जजिंग इज ओवर, एंड दैट इज हाउ हम लोग का इंटरेक्शन बढ़ा, और उन्होंने मेरे को पॉलिश किया ऑल माय रफ एजेस में। मेरे को ये कंपोजिशन क्या होता है, सेलन फोटोग्राफ क्या होता है, कुछ भी आइडिया नहीं था। यहाँ एक मिस्टर पी रामाराव थे सेक्रेटरी, उन्होंने वो AFIA पे थे उस टाइम के, तो कुछ उन्होंने गाइड किया। उसके बाद राजन बाबू के संगत में आने के बाद ही मेरे को काफी कुछ सीखने को मिला। तो उस टाइम इसीलिए हम लोग, मतलब आप सोचिए करीब 30 साल तक, मैं फोटोग्राफी स्टार्ट करने के मतलब 12-13 साल तक हम लोग कुछ भी गाइडेंस हम लोगों को नहीं मिला था। आजकल सब लकी हैं एमेच्योर फोटोग्राफर्स की, दुनिया भर के उनके ट्यूटोरियल्स मिल जाते हैं साइट पे, मतलब इंटरनेट पे दुनिया भर के वेबिनार्स हो रहे हैं, वर्कशॉप्स हो रहे हैं। उस टाइम किताबें भी नहीं मिलती थी, कोई मैगजीन भी नहीं मिलता था फोटोग्राफी का कि हम चाहें तो खरीद के कुछ सीखें, खुद ही अपने ट्राई कर करके जो हम लोग सीखते थे। So suddenly, means after coming to Visakhapatnam, I was exposed to some good photographers, and I started learning it systematically, what actually photography is. So today, means why I am telling you that, Mr. Amitabh ji, and we always think that whenever we are conducting a workshop or whenever we are conducting a webinar, it should be educative to people. It is not that we come show our works and tap our back and go back. No, means in a webinar, when people are investing 2 hours, 3 hours in the workshop, or 2-3 days in workshop and 2 hours in a webinar, they must learn something. लेकिन आज का सब्जेक्ट ऐसा है कि the audience I consider the mixed audience, काफी एमेच्योर भी हैं और काफी बहुत ही एडवांस फोटोग्राफर्स हैं। तो जितने भी सेलन वर्कर्स हैं ऑलरेडी दे नो ऑल द बेसिक्स ऑफ कंपोजिशन, लेकिन फिर भी मतलब टुडेस प्रेजेंटेशन इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी एग्जॉस्टिव। आई हैव ट्राइड टू कवर एवरीथिंग रिगार्डिंग कंपोजिशन। कुछ छूटा होगा तो आप लोग क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं। लोगों के जो क्वेश्चन आज मैंने देखा हमारे ग्रुप पे आए हैं, ऑलमोस्ट एवरीथिंग इज ऑलरेडी कवर्ड इन द टॉक। तो फिर भी अगर कुछ छूटा होगा तो लास्ट में हम लोग का क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन रहेगा। यू आर फ्री टू आस्क एनी क्वेश्चंस यू वांट, बिकॉज इट इज गोइंग टू बी अ लॉन्ग सेशन। विदाउट वेस्टिंग टाइम, आई वुड आस्क फॉर द परमिशन ऑफ अमिताभ जी टू शेयर माय स्क्रीन। Amitabh ji, okay, I will share. So today's topic, as all of us know, it is on composition. And composition क्या है, ये थोड़ा बहुत सबको मतलब by instinct पता रहता है when we are framing a subject. थोड़ा सा फाइनर उसके टिप्स अपने को पता चाहे तो ऑर्डिनरी पिक्चर कैन बी मेड वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग एंड ए पिक्चर विथ गुड इम्पैक्ट। तो दैट इज व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू मींस डिस्कस टुडे। कंपोजिशन ऐसा है कि मतलब हमारे दिस इज कॉल्ड इमेजिंग और विजुअल इमेजिंग। तो फोटोग्राफी आने से पहले, काफी पहले, मतलब 3 लाख साल पहले, मतलब उससे भी करीब 4-5, 3 लाख से 7 लाख साल पहले भी हमारे जो पैलियोलिथिक एरा के हमारे प्रिमिटिव फ्रेंड्स थे, वो लोग अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस करते थे ऑन वॉल्स, ऑन रॉक्स, ऑन द केव वॉल्स। दे यूज्ड टू ड्रॉ पेंटिंग्स टू एक्सप्रेस देमसेल्व्स। तो उस टाइम कोई लैंग्वेज नहीं था, मतलब कोई वी हैड नॉट स्टार्टेड राइटिंग, कोई स्क्रिप्ट नहीं था, हम लोगों ने लिखना भी नहीं सीखा था। तब भी आर्ट था, मतलब लोग तब आर्टिस्ट थे और दे वर ड्राइंग। तो इवन 3 साल, मतलब 3 लाख साल पहले से लोगों ने मतलब अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस करने के लिए इमेजिंग करना सीख लिया था। एंड दे वर these people were using very very rudimentary tools, मतलब उनके जो ब्रश होते थे, स्टेम्स को छील के घिस के ब्रश बनाया करते थे, रूट्स, प्लांट्स के एक्सट्रैक्ट्स, फ्लावर के एक्सट्रैक्ट, रूट के एक्सट्रैक्ट्स, ये सब यूज करके पेंट बनाते थे और वो लोग पेंट करते थे। लेकिन उन लोगों ने भी ये सीख लिया था कि जब अपन पेंट करते हैं तो unless our lines, unless our form are depicted in a particular way, the paintings will not have any meaning. तो जो चीज, मतलब कोई भी लाइन ड्रॉ करना है, कोई भी अपने को फॉर्म ड्रॉ करना है या पेंट यूज करना है, तो अनलेस इट इज मीनिंगफुल द पेंटिंग विल नॉट मेक एनी सेंस। ये चीज उनका अरेंजमेंट ऑफ थिंग्स फाइल पेंटिंग उन्होंने 3-4 लाख साल पहले ही सीख लिया था। तो ये अगर अपने कोई भी वर्क या कोई भी आर्ट को, इफ वी थिंक दैट इट शुड हैव ए परमानेंट प्लेस, या लोग उसको याद रखें या मीनिंगफुल हो, तो इट इज मतलब प्लेसमेंट ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट्स या उसको एक्सप्रेशन, अनलेस इट इज करेक्ट, unless the placement of the subjects are drawn properly and arranged in a particular fashion in the frame, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make any impact, and uska यादगार नहीं रहता, it doesn't look good, it doesn't look meaningful. तो ये चीज उन्होंने इवन 5 लाख साल पहले से किया था। Early man learned to express his mind in the form of lines and shapes. He realized that the lines and shapes, if arranged or placed in a particular order, then only it conveys the message more effectively. तो खाली ये drawings, paintings के लिए नहीं है. Let us look even on regular days also. Suppose we see this image. There are some circles, some lines haphazardly placed. तो ये आप देखेंगे तो it doesn't make any sense to the viewer. तो unless these things are arranged in a way, in a form which a human being, it understands, it identifies with the known objects, it doesn't make sense to him. So ye cheez, it is not only for sketches or not only for drawings, even in our grammar, regular day grammar, let us say this sentence, whom during have went break to we lunch. It doesn't make any sense to us because the words are not arranged in a particular fashion. But the moment we arrange them properly, systematically, grammatically, during break we went home to have lunch, makes a perfect sense to us. तो इसका क्या मतलब है, चाहे वो ड्राइंग हो, चाहे पेंटिंग हो, चाहे स्केचेस हो, या चाहे written material ho, unless the things are arranged properly, it doesn't make sense. That is where the composition starts, and photography is no exception. Photography में भी वही है, unless things are arranged properly in the frame of a photograph, it doesn't make sense to people, or it doesn't give the desired impact what the photographer wants. So this is where few of the guidelines starts, that how we should arrange things on our frame so that it will make sense and it will have an impact on the viewer and it will convey what the photographer wants to say. So people say that these are rules of composition. I slightly differ here, because the rules, जैसे ही अपन बोलते हैं, then nobody can break it. Everybody has to abide by it. I think we should call it guidelines, क्योंकि अपना main goal है कि photograph meaningful ho, impact ho, whether it agrees to, whether it follows the guidelines or not. If it has the desired impact, it is fine. There are guidelines, and all these guidelines, because photography तो 1839 में आया है, तो उससे पहले painting and all are means few thousand years old. मतलब आप तो देखे हैं इवन वॉल पेंटिंग्स आर 3 लाख to 5 lakh years old. So painting people or painters were more experienced than photographers. When photography came, already the guidelines about color, the language of lines, language, physiognomy, all these things were already known to painters, and they were applying it successfully in their paintings. So all these experienced people have made all means the guidelines for us to follow guidelines of composition. But when we become more experienced, we can successfully break it. And I in fact feel that everybody should means whenever necessary they should break it. They should not feel इंस्टिंक्ट से अपन लोग क्या होता है, जब अपन ये गाइडलाइंस फॉलो करने लगते हैं तब कोई अच्छा फोटो उसको ब्रेक करने से भी अच्छा बनता है तो अपन लोग डरते हैं उसको ब्रेक करने के लिए, और फिर वही सब्जेक्ट को गाइडलाइंस के हिसाब से अरेंज करते हैं. एंड समटाइम्स by following the guidelines we make a weak pictures. If we had violated that guideline, we would have made a stronger picture. So that is why I say rules are made by experienced people. But when we become more experienced and we feel that we should break it, we should always break it. And I feel by the time our webinar is over, all of us will definitely know how to follow the guidelines and how to break it also. Now, the first guidelines I feel in photography composition is our camera frame is rectangular. We have only two ways how to use it. Either we can use it horizontally, which is called a landscape format, means horizontally, or vertically we can use it. That is a vertical or portrait mode, they say. But it is not necessary that horizontal format can be used only for landscapes, or vertical formats can be used only for portraits. Even landscapes can be taken in vertical mode for a particular region. Even portrait can be taken in a horizontal mode for a particular region. Let us look at few of the examples. Now, vertical lines, when we want to show strength, dignity, power, or masculinity, we should use vertical lines. Vertical lines generally it denotes or means it depicts power and masculinity, dignity. अगर एक आदमी सोया हुआ है, he will not look as powerful, as strong, he may look weak. But when he's standing, forget about the muscular man in left hand side. Even you look at that petite woman in the skimpily dress also, she also looks like a powerful woman just because of vertical lines are used in this picture. So these are the language of lines now we are talking about. So same thing, horizontal lines, it depicts rest, peace, weakness, even death. We cannot make somebody look alive if he's lying down. If he's standing, he will not look like a dead person. So if we want to depict rest, peace, or weakness or death, it is more advisable to use a horizontal format that will powerfully it will present what we want to say. Now, if we want to say show a dynamic means motion or action in the image, we have to use diagonal lines. If this man is not diagonally present, if he is vertically standing, it will not show that he is running. If we want to show whether he's running, whether we are pulling something or we are playing, wherever there is a movement, you will always find that vertical means the subject is in a vertical means a diagonal position, and diagonal line gives us more dynamism, energy, and sense of movement and action in the picture. Whereas curved lines, they show femininity and sensuality. We a few frames back you have seen a model in bikini standing straight was not looking as feminine, as sensual as this picture, because that was arranged in straight lines, vertical straight line, and this is in curved lines. So whenever we want to show sensuousness, femininity, then we have to arrange our subject in a with curved lines as much as possible to have the desired impact. Now, the second guidelines in thing is we must have a center of interest. Naturally, when we are taking a picture, there is a subject. We must have some subject, that is why we are taking a picture. But that center of interest or the hero of the picture should be visible and it should be there present. अगर hero नहीं है या center of interest नहीं है picture में, then the picture doesn't look complete. Let us look at some examples. And one thing here I will tell you that photographers and painters, there is a basic difference. Photographer kya hai, means the world is not a very neat landscape. It is totally cluttered. Everything means not arranged as per our wish. A photographer picks up or isolates the subject what interests him and try to highlight it. Whereas a painter starts with a blank easel and he paints whatever he wants. एक आदमी पेंट कर दिया, उसके बाद वो चाहेगा, if he wants he can paint a tree, if he wants he can paint a hill, he can paint a river, he can paint clouds, he can paint birds, he can go on adding what he wants. But photography is just the reverse. We start with a very cluttered uh, scene and we observe and see what is interesting in that, what forms a good picture. We isolate the main subject and try to highlight it. That is the disadvantage of a photographer. He has to isolate his subject from the cluttered environment and try to make a picture. Now, let us look at this image. This image is a nice picture, but our eyes doesn't rest anywhere. When we look at this picture, our eyes keep on moving throughout the frame, looking for something, and we don't find something. Every dewdrops is a subject here, and there are hundreds of them. There is no fixed subject in this which will arrest our attention and stop our gaze, which will not arrest our attention. Whereas let us look at this picture. The left side image is of the same situation. The clouds are beautiful, beautiful sunrise time. Sea is there, nice reflection on the wet sand is there. But the right side picture with the fisherman in the frame makes a definitely better image than the left side picture. Left side image looks incomplete without a subject. After the entry of the hero or the main subject, the right side image definitely makes more sense. So center of interest is very, very important in a photograph. Same thing, let us look at this image. Left side image is the same landscape, but without the boats. It looks incomplete. Now, the right side picture with the boats and all makes a complete picture of this landscape. So center of interest is very, very important in photography. And it should be visible, means automatically, means it should almost shout at the viewer, clearly visible to the viewer. So we will see how our center, we can, by using the guidelines of composition, we can draw attention of the viewer to our main subjects. That is what we are going to discuss today. Now, anybody talks about composition, he talks about one thing, that is the golden two-third. Somebody says the spiral line, somebody says golden two-third. So whatever name we say, we are asking people not to keep our main subject or the hero or the center of interest in the center. Why? Because in a frame, the center is the weakest point. It is very, very safe point, very static point. So it is not active. वो इतना safe है कि we immediately lose interest. It is an uninteresting point. And the corners of a frame are very, very insecure. Extreme corners are insecure points or dangerous points. Means we feel insecure if we place anything there. I will give an example here. Let us say we have gone out of our home for some time for a film or to attend a wedding. We come back home, open our gate. Let us say we have opened our gate in the drawing room or opened our gate in the dining room. And in the center table of the drawing room or of the dining table, our crystal flower vase is right in the center of the table. we don't even look at it, क्योंकि वो वहीं रहता है, वहीं है, we don't even look at it. By chance अगर वो फ्लावर वाज सेंटर में नहीं रह के सोचे it is somehow somebody has kept it here or here or here, तो immediately our attention, it will catch our attention. वो फ्लावर वास वहां 4 घंटे से 5 घंटे से वही है, गिरा नहीं है. हमको मालूम है रात भर रहेगा तो भी नहीं गिरेगा, लेकिन जैसे ही अपना देखते हैं कि हमारा क्रिस्टल फ्लावर वास और आवर कैमरा और आवर समथिंग valuable is in the corner of the table, immediately it attracts our attention. We go and move it to the center of the table to a safe zone. So what has happened? That means if the subject is in the periphery of the frame, it has created insecurity in the viewer. And center has absolutely, means it is so static, so passive that it is uninteresting. The viewer doesn't look at it. So in between this passive point and insecure point lies the interesting point. So if we divide our frame into 3 equal half horizontally and vertically, we come across 4 golden points. We call it golden points. Why? Because they are neither very safe, very secure, not very passive, nor very insecure. That these are the interesting point. So we should arrange our subject or main subject. If we arrange them in this point, the subject will look, it will draw enough interest of the viewer without creating insecurity, and the picture will look pleasant. That is the reason. But in which point we have to keep our subject? We must know that in which point, whether the subject should be in the left point, left lower point, or right upper point. It has some, again, guideline where we should keep it. Now, some people, rather than dividing it, they call it Fibonacci spirals, or some people they say call it golden spiral. You divide the frame into 3 equal half. Again, for the smaller half, again you divide into 3 equal half. Again, for the smaller half, means you keep on dividing and you arrive at a zone where we are supposed to keep the subject. So that is why some people call it spiral, this thing. Some people call, but we should not, means apply such difficult technique every time when we are taking a picture. It will look like a mathematics rather than art. Instinctively, we should keep our subject off center. That is enough. Means if we, and when it becomes a habit, automatically you will see that we don't keep the subject in the center. But exactly for amateur or beginner photographers, the problem comes. Most of the camera, the focusing point is in the center. So slowly they develop a habit, and because the focusing point in the center, they keep the subject in the center and develop a habit of keeping the subject in the center for focusing and to correct the exposure. Advanced camera have settings. That means they can change that focusing point to wherever they want. They can keep the subject anywhere they want and change the focusing point so that the camera can take focus from that point. But many people, they don't do. Easier way to do is keep the subject in the center, take the press the button half, then recompose the picture and shoot. Whatever it is, our endeavor should be that we should keep our subject off center in the interesting point wherever necessary, so that the picture will have better impact or it will be more meaningful. Now let us look at this image. अपने थ्रिश कपूर साहब यहाँ है, ये कोसानी का फोटो है, उनका गेस्ट हाउस से ही है, मतलब उनका गेस्ट हाउस से लिया हुआ फोटोग्राफ है. Now that small guest house, means in orange color and yellow color, which is again against the backdrop of a complementary green color. The moment we look at the picture, without anything, our attention straight goes to the subject. We don't miss that hut in that red color or complementary color in the picture. It is kept in 2/3 and automatically our attention goes there. Now let us look at this image. Again, our the trekkers are in 2/3. There the path is there. The path is leading us to the ice-capped mountains, and the picture is complete. It gives us a sense of complete picture, an interesting picture. But in portraiture, what is the main subject in a portrait? Eyes are the windows to the soul in portrait photography. If we are taking a mid-length or headshot, only close, tight shot, then the eyes of the subject should be in a two-third in the golden plane. Then, like I always say, in our face, you see our eyes are in the golden plane. It is not in the center. Just imagine how the person will look if somebody has his eyes in the center of the face. It will be really weird. Like our eyes are kept at the golden plane of our face, our eyes or in the picture should be in the golden plane in the frame. That gives us a beautiful or better picture. There are a few other rules of composition of portraiture that we will be discussing little later. Even in a simple subject like this dried up leaves means in a contrasty color and off-center placement and the branches almost framing it makes an interesting picture. Now imagine the same leaves, if it is in the center, it would not have looked that good like this image is looking. Here we have broken the rule. You can see that here the center of our subject is kept in the center of the frame, but leading lines and the spiral composition is leading us to the center of the image without any efforts. So this is a small example how the rule of two-third or the guideline of two-third can be broken and we can keep our subject in the center if it is necessary. In the whole webinar, you will find many images where we have intentionally broken the guidelines, and even then the picture images having the desired effect. Now, another guidelines is we should have, suppose our subject is small in our frame, if we have a leading line to it, even if the subject is insignificant in the frame. It is our friend Mr. Anil Desal Singh. This picture was taken in Posani when we had outing there. You see, there are two subjects, but only one subject is more visible because of the strong leading line taking us to the subject, which is kept again in two-thirds of the frame. Whereas the next person, even if he is in a red, much stronger color, it doesn't attract our attention so much, but we are able to see it because even leading line slightly touches him also. But leading line is to draw or guide our attention to our main subject. Many times we can take the help of leading lines in our frame. This leading line need not be a line like this. Actually, these are imaginary. Means that there are many things in frames which almost gives us a sense of leading line, and it leads us to our main subject. In this, you see these white lines are not there on the floor. It is only shown that these are the lines which are taking us, including the horizon. These lines on the floor is taking us to the main subject. See, here again, our rule is broken. The subject is in the dead center of the frame. But because of strong leading lines, even if it is kept in the center, it still draws our attention and we don't miss our hero in this film. Yeah. So now you see here again our main subject is not in off center, but the wheel works as a frame and the spokes of the wheel works as a leading line. The arms of the potter works as a leading line, and we don't miss our subject in this. So leading line are very, very effective in taking our attention to the main subject. Wherever possible, we must use it. Now here also, the moment we look at the image, our attention goes to the father's face. Then through his shoulder hand, our attention comes to the baby. So this is called L composition in photography. And this is without, and while taking picture, people might be applying it, but they do not know that they're applying L composition. Many people, without knowing the rules or guidelines of composition, they compose pictures like this, just as an instinct. But only the difference between a expert photographer or learned photographer who has learned the grammar of photography can tell you what it is that this is L composition. Somebody who has not learned the grammar of composition may not be able to tell you that this is L composition or this is working as a leading line, but the picture will be equally effective. In fact, this is one thing I would like to mention here, that my Guruji, Mr. Rajan Babu, I always consider him to be my Guru. He used to like give me books on paintings. So sometimes the book will be on language of color, sometimes it will be on language of lines, sometimes on physiognomy, sometimes on composition. So much I have learned from reading those books. After reading that book, I will return it to him. He will immediately give me another book. So when I was participating in Salons, I asked him once, sir, you are giving me so many books on painting. Of course, it is very enriching. I am learning so many things. But do our judges, because that time for a Salon participant, only goal is to get an acceptance or an award. So our total approach to photography was to satisfy judges rather than satisfy ourselves. Whether it is good or bad is a debatable issue. But we were taking picture only to satisfy judges. People, the expert or regular Salon participants, they even know the taste of judges. If this gentleman is the judge, what picture he will like, what kind of picture, and accordingly they participate. That somehow I don't like that. We should limit our creativity, trying only to satisfy the judges. But anyway, that is a different issue. So I asked Mr. Rajan Babu, my guru, does a judge or do these judges, they have read these rules, regulation, do they know all this grammar of color, lines, all these things? Are they competent enough to judge the picture correctly if we apply all this properly? Then he gave me a very golden suggestion that time, a golden advice. He said the difference between the judge or an ordinary man is that the judge, if it is a good picture, he can tell you why it is a good picture. This is having L composition, this is having leading lines. A person who doesn't know this grammar, he may not be able to dissect the picture and tell you why it is good, but if it is not good, he can tell you that it is not so good. If it is good, he will like it and he will tell you it is good. He may not be able to tell you why it is good or why it is not good. Same thing in music. Suppose I am not a musician. If the music is not good, I may not be able to tell why it is not good. If it is good, it is soothing to me, it is melodious to me, I like it, without knowing the grammar of music. But to a musician, an expert musician, he can tell us exactly why it is good, why it is not good. So same thing is in photography. These things we are talking about, the grammar of photography. It is the difference between an expert and an ordinary person is that only. So if the picture is not looking to a not looking good to an ordinary person, there is something seriously wrong with that, and that only an expert person can point out. Now, this is called O composition, the very less used composition. Even in studio, I try to follow, because this pictorialism वो हमारे दिमाग में कूट कूट के भर दिया गया है बचपन से. तो चाहे हम फैमिली फोटो लेते हैं, चाहे फैशन फोटो लेते हैं, चाहे प्रोडक्ट फोटो लेते हैं, उसमें पिक्टोरियल कंपोजिशन अप्लाई करते हैं. So anyway, but the people like it, customers like it because it is different. कोई दूसरे स्टूडियो में जाते हैं, वो बेंच में बिठा देता, 4 आदमी को पीछे 3 आदमी को खड़ा कर देता, लेता आपने कुछ अलग लिया. They like it without knowing that it is a pictorial composition and I have arranged their heads in a O composition. They do not know this, but they like it. So this is called O composition. So you cannot miss anybody's face. आप किसी को भी देखेंगे तो your attention will go to every face one by one, and you can keep circulating and keep looking at everybody. And that is the attention in a family. That is the main reason in family photograph. Composition should be such that the viewer should not miss anybody's face. He should be able to see everybody's face. Now, this is C composition. आप देखेंगे तो first your attention will go to the mother's face or child's face, and the line leads you to the hand. from the mother's eyes. If you include the hair, if the hair is a little brighter, then it becomes O composition again. So otherwise it is a C composition. Now, this is called triangular composition. This is considered to be the strongest composition in photography. Like the strongest or most stable the most stable structure in our world is pyramids. Means they don't get damaged so easily since hundreds, thousands of years they are there. So the triangular composition is considered to be the most stable. It gives stability to the form, and it is many photographers or almost all of us, we keep on using triangular composition in our photographs. Now there is one more thing. Suppose we have a lot of negative space in the picture, and the picture is looking a little too loose, or a lot of negative space which is uninteresting place, and our subject is small in the image and our attention is diverted to other place, or it is wandering around the frame. Then keeping our subject under a frame, or framing our subject in our frame, is another technique which brings attention to our subject of interest or center of interest. So these are different framing technique. This is very traditional conventional one, and most of us we use framing technique wherever necessary. Now when we have our subject in one corner of the frame or off center, and there is nothing except negative space in the frame, then we should have another supplementary subject, a secondary supportive subject at a distance with a lesser weight to balance our main subject. Pictorially, let us see images. Here you can see the boat is in 2/3, but the sun not so strong, it is not so heavy, but it balances the this image beautifully. So this is called balancing the frame. Otherwise the frame tilts to one side, or some people say it is bottom heavy, some people say it is top heavy or side heavy, they call it. So we have to balance the frame so that it will not look imbalanced. Here also the lips, there are 3 objects and they are balancing the whole frame beautifully. Straight horizon, it is a golden rule in pictorial photography. Recently in a judging of a honor, one particular portfolio was rejected because it was admitted and it was submitted under pictorial category, and in 2 pictures the horizon was tilted. That means tilted horizon, the objection is taken so strongly by the judges that in a landscape the horizon should not be tilted, otherwise it totally mars a picture. A good picture can be spoiled if the horizon is tilted. So we should try to maintain the horizon straight as much as possible. And in landscape photograph, when we are discussing, I can tell you that we should keep our horizon in any 2/3, not in the center. Center, if the horizon is kept a strong horizon, it divides the frame into 2 equal halves, and we are having 2 images rather than 1 image. And the rule what governs whether the horizon should be on the upper 2/3 or lower 2/3 is, if the foreground is interesting, then we can have more place in the means foreground, and the horizon can be upper 2/3. If the background is more interesting, foreground is not strong, then like suppose a sky with clouds, birds, beautiful sunrise and all, we can have more of upper 2/3 and our horizon can be in lower 2/3. While taking, we have to see whether the foreground interest is stronger or the background is stronger. Accordingly, we can decide where to keep our horizon. Now let us look at a another landscape. Now here the foreground, if this subject is not there, we will not have the feeling of depth. Photography is a two-dimensional object, means our medium is two-dimensional, and always we are capturing images of three dimensions. Whether it is a human being, whether it's a flower, whether it is a landscape, anything we are clicking is having a third dimension. So with whether it is lighting, whether it is composition, whether by applying any guidelines, we have to create the third dimension in our picture. So in a landscape, if we want to capture, we want to give the illusion of depth, we must have a interesting foreground here. Then only we get a feeling of depth in this picture. Now, here, if you observe little minutely, you will see the horizon is slightly tilted. It is not straight. But what happens means when I was trying to straighten the horizon by lifting the right side, my foreground object was looking as if it is falling, the rock is falling. When a rock is balancing on a rock, and if this rock is slightly tilted, definitely it will look off balance. It will look as if how it is able to stand there when it is tilted. So just because my main subject, my foreground, my main subject, center of interest, or which is giving me the depth, to save it from looking odd, I have kept my foreground subject straight at the cost of the slight tilt in the background. Maybe without my telling, you might not have noticed it also. That is a different issue because the picture looks correct. But I had tried this, but I finally decided that no, my foreground should look straight. Same thing here. Foreground we have subject. It is leading us to the uh, horizon, and this gives us a sense of depth. Now, there is one more element in photography which is very, very important, that is color. So unless we compose color in color photography, the picture will again not look as good. So color, broadly we divide them into two zones. One is warm colors and one is cool colors. And if we are shooting color images, then we have to see that our subject, because of tonal difference or color tonal difference, it is visible. So if we keep cool colors subject against a warm color background, they are visible, or warm color object subject on cool color background, they will be visible more. That we have to apply. Now let us look at this example. The word language of color is written in blue against a blue background. It is not visible to us so clearly, and the moment we write it in yellow letters are more clearly visible than the blue color against a blue background. So cool color against cool background is not as visible than like a warm color against a cool background. So we have to maintain this whenever we want to draw attention to our main subject, like this. Our here you see red also is a warm color, and yellow also comes under the family of warm color. But again, the placement of the subject and the red stands well against our, means it is in 2/3, and it stands very beautifully against the uh, background. So here I have broken my own rule that cool color should be used on the subject, or the subject should be cool when the background is warm. But even then, the subject is visible. The center of interest is not lost in the background. Same thing here. फिरिस कपूर साहब चौंक गए होंगे कि ये क्या हुआ, मेरा गेस्ट हाउस चेंज कैसे हो गया उसका पोजीशन. I have flipped it horizontally, the image, to keep it in the left hand side corner. I will tell you why I have done that intentionally. We will be coming to that point. But here we are getting our subject visible because the warm color against a cool color background, our attention is going. Why I have flipped it, we will be discussing later. Now, we were when we are discussing this, we are talking about the language of color. These are the language of color we are talking. So now color has its own language. It speaks. So that is why means we must know what are the language of color, the grammar of color, so that we can use it properly. So like these are bold colors, blue, red, yellow, green in this dress. So bold colors represent youthfulness or they are rebellious. दे लुक यंग एक 70 साल का बुढ़ा भी अगर कलरफुल रेड शर्ट पहन के आया तो आप बोलेंगे ही इज वेरी यूथफुल एट हार्ट ही मस्ट मतलब सो फ्लैम्बॉयंट टाइप ही इज वेरी यूथफुल वेरी एक्टिव ही लुक्स एंड एक आप 5 साल के बच्चे को भी ग्रे कलर पहना देंगे तो ही लुक्स मोर मैच्योर्ड सो इफ वी वांट टू मेक somebody look youthful, if my subject is old but he is youthful, young by heart, I must use bold colors dresses on him to show his soul, to show that he is youthful, to show the youth in him or his mindset in him. So bold colors gives us a feeling of youthfulness, energy and rebellion, whereas light tones shows innocence and serenity. Dark gray, it can be grief, sadness, maturity and sophistication. So whenever we want, now on this person, if I have used a flowery print shirt, he will not look as matured like this. So it is the right color we must use on our subject to give the right impression what we want to show. This color we must use systematically or with proper thought behind it to get the right effect what we want to show through our image. Now these are the language of colors. White shows peace, simplicity, purity, spacious. Red shows violence, power, aggression and angry because blood is also associated with red. Yellow shows joy, happiness, sunshine, also jealousy. Orange shows energy, warmth, youthfulness, vibrance. Pink is used generally for love and tenderness, softness. Blue is for tranquility, coolness. It is conservative color. Purple is for royalty and nobility. Green is for health, generosity, and fertility. And black is for grief, depression, and sophistication. If we understand this, if we understand this, and whenever we are taking a picture, if we are using this rule in our picture, we will get a very successful picture. It is not possible for landscapists and for many for portraitists under controlled condition. When we take picture, we can put this ourselves. But there are many situations where we cannot use this language of color. We cannot apply it successfully. So best is to convert those images into black and white. If the let us say I am trying to show grief. Anyway, those images are there when we are going to discuss why we should take black and white and when we should take black and white picture and when we should take a color picture. We will be discussing about that little later. There we will discuss about it. Now, another technique in composition is cropping. Let us say in this image, our subject is doing some work, chipping a piece of wood. Now, you look at the clutter in the frame. Means there is a motor, there is a tank, there are so many other logs lying around, and our attention is again wandering around the frame without the actual action of the lady is not visible so clearly. Where exactly we want to, if we wanted to show the environment of a workshop, then it is fine. But if we want to show what she is doing, then we should crop the image. Then our main action will howl at us. It will be very clearly visible. The action is the peeling of the wood. The face is also not so important. If we want, we can add the face also. Then it will again become a L composition or diagonal composition, and action is there. So cropping also sometimes improves the image. Here also you see one is a loose frame where there are a lot of distracting element in the picture. to bring attention to the main subject, we have cropped it. Just by simply cropping many times, it improves our image. And here also you see, if we are taking picture of flowers, if we take the left side image doesn't give us any knowledge about the flower, any information about the flower. Right side image, when we go closer and crop it, the background are thrown out of focus and the subject is very clearly visible and beautiful. Now, here I am talking about cropping to make our subject bigger and more visible. Now I am talking about it. So this here, our subject is very small in the whole frame, and means we are not cropping it. This comes under minimalism. Even if our subject is very small, even if there is lot of empty space in the negative space in the picture, but they are not distracting us from our main subject. So in a minimalistic picture, we should have negative space, but we should not means if our subject is visible, if our center of interest is visible, and if we are trying to create a minimalistic picture, then fine, we need not crop it tightly. So this again, I am breaking the rules of cropping the image. Now, in portrait photography, there is a technical breathing space, or there is a means how to use this breathing space. What is breathing space? Now our subject is looking at this right side. So if it is means our right side edge is very close to her face, then she will look suffocated. So if we are looking at a particular direction, we should leave more space in that direction. Back side space is less, front side space is more, because she is looking at right side. Will make the picture more comfortable. You will not feel as if you are caged or you are suffocating in the frame. This is called breathing space. We should allow breathing space towards the gaze. But if she is looking straight, then the breathing space is not necessary. Again, here the same rule is broken because it is a fashion photography. In fashion photography, most of the times we break the rules to create the tension. So people always try to find something new in fashion photography. So violating the rule of space is also one technique in fashion photography to draw attention or make the image stronger. In fashion photography, there is no such rule of breathing space. The moment we, in ideal portrait photography, yes, we must make the breathe. Yeah, somebody is speaking.
हाँ जी, मैं कह रहा था कि और ये फोटो में वो इसका रिबेलियसनेस भी दिखा रहा है, अगर हमने ब्रीदिंग स्पेस से अलग तरफ से उसको ये कह रहा है तो
क्या हो रहा है इसमें सर?
मान लीजिए कि अगर फोटो ब्रीदिंग स्पेस की रूल को फॉलो करते रखते, उससे बदले अगर ये रखा है तो उसमें ये मॉडल का या ये जो पर्टिकुलर पर्सन है उसका रिबेलियसनेस भी दिखा रहा है.
Yes, because the fashion photographer is young, provocatively dressed. This also shows the rebellion in them. ये अगर कलर में होता तो you would have seen that the top is red and that bottom is yellow and black print, tiger print. Rebellion, that is associated with rebellion again. So youthfulness again. So we can successfully break the rules or the guidelines wherever we want that it is necessary. Here the subject is looking at top. That is why we have given more space on the top to fill that negative space. So much of negative space we have imposed another element in the picture. Here the subject is looking at right side. Now this is one important thing that Indian means this is also one of the rule that Indians particularly we write from left to right, whereas Urdu is written from right to left. There are many languages it is written from right to left. So Indian viewers, we feel more comfortable if our leading line is from left to right. So she's looking the same picture. If we flip, it will not look as comfortable. So for Indian, you will find many images in the webinar where the line leads from left to right. So for Indian, if we are Indians and we are composing for Indian audience, then our leading line should be left to right. That is always better. Even in this image, you will see that first means our hand is leading us to the image, and this is not leading us out. This is leading us into the image. Now, to what I told you about left and right, this example you see, the moment we see this image, whom do we see? Whether the baby or the mother? In fact, subconsciously, or if you think, our attention first go to the baby, and then the baby is looking at the mother's face, our attention goes to the mother. It is only because we are always tuned to look at the left subject first, and then we are going to the right. Same image you see I have flipped. Now our attention goes to the mother's face first, then it goes to the baby's face, because we are habituated to look at the left first, then to the right. Same image means here we look at the baby's face first, and here we look at the mother's face first. It is just flipped. It is because of our psychology or our habit. So this also we have to keep in mind while framing our subject in photography. Now, so this is the same thing. Now let us look at this. The strong black line on the rock is leading us to our main subject. But the subject is looking at left, which is against our Indian rule. But the leading line is taking us to our subject, and space is given where they are looking, and it is taking us beautifully to the subject. Our eyes first goes to the rock, and the line takes us to the subject. Whereas in this image, our attention first goes to the subject, then with difficulty, with jumps, we are going down towards right. This image takes us to the subject. Means our attention goes to the rock first, and then we are led to the subject. Here our attention goes to the subject first. It doesn't go to the right side rock. It doesn't lead us from right to left. It leads us from left to right. So Indian eyes or Indian psychology, or people who write from left to right, they feel more comfortable if the leading lines are from left to right. Now, sense of scale. This is another thing we should put. Now, look at the image on the left-hand side. Without the right-hand side image, we do not know what is the height of this temple. If we are shooting, taking the camera onto the ground, even a very small object of 6 inches height also will look massive. So without a known scale in the picture, right-hand side, we have used a known scale. We know psychologically that human beings are around 5.5 feet, 6 feet height. So this temple might be around 30 feet or 40 feet height. It is 5 times or 6 times taller than them. So immediately we get the size, we get the information about the size of the temple just by inclusion of the a known scale in the picture. So this is also one thing we must use in our picture, a known scale, wherever this scale is not, means from the image we don't find or don't get the information about the size of the picture. Now, we were discussing about general guidelines in photography, but in portraiture particularly, there are some certain guidelines which we must follow to make the picture effective. For landscape, there are different guidelines, but in portrait, those guidelines means there are some extra guidelines which we must follow. You may find this in very few photography books. You will find it in painting books, these rules and regulations. Whenever we compose, we should never uh, compose our picture like this, only the neck and head. The feeling comes to our mind is like on a bamboo piece or on a pole or a pillar, a heavy top is put. So what happens if on a bamboo a heavy top is put? It looks imbalanced. It doesn't, it is not stable. The image looks unstable, as if it may fall. So we must have a pedestal whenever we have that, whenever we are taking picture of a head, we must have the shoulder. This becomes the pedestal, or it gives stability to the head. So whenever we are shooting, unless the hair is covering the neckline or it is giving a base, it should not be a very narrow neck and head on the top. That is wrong in ideal portraiture. I'm not talking about fashion. So ideal portraiture must have a base to stand on that. The head must have a base. Now, there are, the moment we go below our shoulder line, we can crop it just above our elbow joint. We should never cross it. Right side image, you see it is cropped below the elbow joint. It looks like it is amputated. The subject, the hand is amputated. So in ideal portraiture, if we want to crop it, we must crop it above the elbow joint. Or if we want to include little more, then she can fold her hands. She can fold her hands up so that her hands are complete. It is not cropped. But we should never crop it just below the elbow joint. It looks like amputated. The moment we go below, means if we want more, then we should include the full hand. Then only it will look subject. Neither we can crop it below the elbow joint, not above the wrist line. We should include the full hand, then only the picture will look all right. If it is cropped at the wrist, again it looks odd. So in a subject, we should never crop just below the elbow joint or just before the wrist. If we go lower than the left side image, then we must include the full hand. Then only the picture will look comfortable. If it is standing, you see, again, same, just below the knee, we should never crop it. If we go below the knee, then we should not crop it above the ankle. We should include the full leg. Then only the subject will look good. In fashion photography, of course, you can do anything you want. But in ideal portraiture, if you are talking about, then this is the rule of composition in portraits. There are few more rules in portraits. We should not crop the head of the subject. Why? Right side image, can somebody tell me whose image is it? You can unmute yourself and tell me. Any idea whose image is the right side image in silhouette? Hitesh bhai, you can unmute yourself, or Amitabh ji, you can unmute and tell me.
Gandhiji, sir.
Yes, Gandhiji. So what has happened? The head becomes a part of our personality. So we, आप बाल कटवा लीजिए, आप अलग दिखने लगते हैं, आपको सब बोलते हैं आज आप अलग लग रहे हो, क्या बात है? So even the head, even your spectacles, it becomes a part of your personality. So in ideal portraiture, we should not crop the head. But in fashion photograph, we always crop the head to bring in more attention to it. Because human brain always looks at fault. It is a critic. It always looks for criticism. Anything is too perfect, we lose interest. इसलिए 14वें का चांद is more spoken about than full moon. So, because the head is part of our personality, in ideal portraiture we should not crop it. Again, you see the eyeball. In ideal portraiture, the eyeball should never touch the other side corner. What happens then? We look at a big mass of white, which looks as if the eyes are defective. But again, there are exceptions to it, like for dancers. They can do that, क्योंकि कनखियों से देखना, that is a part of their mudra. So it is acceptable in dancers, and it is also acceptable in young girls. ये कनखियों से देखने का. So this I'm telling you because I have read those painting books where these exceptions are given. But in ideal portraiture, we should have a white mass. After the black mass, definitely, then only the eyes looks natural. Otherwise, it looks deformed. Second, there is another guideline. The nose should not jut out of the face line. It should not cut the face line and jut out. If you want to jut out, then shoot profile, where everything is in full profile. But if you are taking 2/3, the nose line must end within it should remain always within the face line. If it jots out, it disturbs the viewer. It doesn't look good. Now you look at these eyes, they look natural because there is a white mass on both sides of the eyes. So that guideline is followed here to make an effective picture. Now, distraction in the background, all of you know, human mind, when the left side image, the moment we see the image, even if there is a beautiful girl in front of it, our eyes keeps going to that Valentine cell, because we are able to, our eyes goes to anything which we can read. The psychology, this psychology people use in advertising. Even if they use a model there, we don't miss their name, because human mind, without conscious effort, we keep reading things what we can read. If this is written in a language, in a Greek or French, which we don't read, then it will not disturb us so much. But if we can read it, our attention will keep going to it, and we will read it first, then only we will look at the subject. That is why in advertising, means this rule is followed. And you will see that while even driving or while walking, without our knowledge, without any consciousness, we keep reading signboards, we keep reading names. Suddenly, suppose somebody says, tell you the restaurant's name, let us say Khajana. You will say, अरे नहीं कहीं देखे हैं, I'm not able to, लेकिन कहीं देखा हूँ खजाना रेस्टोरेंट, कहीं देखा हूँ. Why we feel like that? Because while passing by that, without our knowledge, we have read that board many times, so it has remained in our brain. So means we think, when somebody tells that name, so that is called branding, visibility of the name again and again to the consumer. This is what the companies look for. They bombarding their names in every nook and corner of your city, in magazine, in a newspaper. You keep reading that name, and it becomes familiar to you, and that product feels familiar to you very soon, and you buy that product. That is the psychology behind using written names. Same thing, we should not use distracting trees growing out of our subject in portrait photography that distracts from our subject. Suppose it is a strong pole, it is still worse. If it is a horizontal parapet wall or line passing through one nose, coming out of the one ear and coming out from the other ear also is equally distracting. So strong line behind our subject we should avoid as much as possible. Now, there are again rules for nature and wildlife photographs. 20 years back, when wildlife pictures rule was, means when digital photography was not there, judges were very particular that the full animal or bird image should be there, right from tail to the head. Both the eyes should be visible. An ordinary person should get as much information about the species or about the animal just looking at the picture for the definition. But presently, in many judges, means they are not insisting for that. There are images where the animal is a very small part in the landscape, but it is qualifying in landscape, means wildlife photography. And there are many pictures where a extreme close-up of the animal is taken, a portrait of an animal is taken, that is also accepted in many images. But still we have judges who still feel that we should not crop any part of the animal in a nature and wildlife image. So these are few rules and composition to bring our attention to the subject. There are some other ways how, because finally what we are discussing it, how we can bring attention to our subject, how we can make our subject strong, how we can make our subject interesting. So when we want to make our subject interesting, besides the rules of composition, there are few other technique which what we can use to make our subject interesting. Now, this is called tonal difference. If the entire image is dark and our main subject, center of interest, is bright, that also draws our attention. Here also placement of the subject in 2/3, and space towards the right direction also adds to the composition. But this I am showing for the tonal difference. If there is a tonal difference, again dark colors and warm color, that also makes the subject stand out. So tonal difference is another. Then if our main subject is in focus and other things, the background is out of focus, our attention comes to our center of interest. If everything is in focus, the subject means would have lost its impact. But because this is our main subject is focus, again it is in 2/3 and the background is out of focus, our attention goes to our subject of interest or center of interest. Here you see the teeth means or the chocolate means framing, the lips are framing our product, the color contrast is there, and unusual subject. If the subject is unusual also, the viewer shows more interest, they try to read the image what it is. So all three elements are in this image to make it a strong image. Humor. If we can create any emotion in our picture, whether it is humor or fear or anything through our image, that also makes the picture interesting and it captures our attention. Like this is like our compassion, passion means compassion, sympathy or pathos. We are showing, looking at very, very famous image, everybody knows about it. So this also means emotionally connects us to the image and we take more interest to see the picture. You see both the center of interest in this, the vulture and the baby are in 2/3, and again balancing all rules are here. It is a journalistic picture, but still it conforms to the rule of pictorialism. Now fear and insecurity. The moment you look at this image, of course I don't know people who are watching this show on their mobile phone how what is the impact on them, but people who are watching on PC or laptops, they will definitely feel uh, loathing looking at those at that face or looking at this snake. Means it is including a element of fear or insecurity also makes the subject interesting. And the person looks at it like that. Horror also is another element. This is a black and white. Why many of us converting image into black and white also makes it more interesting, or we feel it is more artistic. What is the reason that black and white looks more artistic than color? Human being, anything familiar, he feels it is less artistic, which is a little unfamiliar, they find it more artistic. For example, you look at this image. Now, our Ganesha looks like the left side Ganesha of this image. He doesn't look like the right side image. But if you ask the viewer which image is more artistic, they will feel that the right side image Ganesha is more artistic than the left side. Left side to ekdam bahut familiar raha, it is a common Ganesha. But right side is uncommon Ganesha. So anything uncommon or strange or we are not familiar with makes us feel that it is more artistic. आपका बच्चा अगर एक पेंटिंग बनाता है, वो आपको पेंटिंग जैसे लगेगा, आर्टिस्टिक लगेगा. आप वही एक सब्जेक्ट का फोटो खींचिए, एक बढ़िया लैंडस्केप का दिखाइए, वो कम आर्टिस्टिक लगेगा. आपका पेन या ब्रश से खींचा हुआ कुछ लाइंस आपको ज्यादा आर्टिस्टिक लगेगा. तो एनीथिंग व्हिच इज not familiar to us, little unfamiliar, gives us a sense of, means it is different, uniqueness, and we find that more interesting. So we don't see things in black and white, we see things in color. So when things are converted into black and white, that gives us a feeling that it is little different, and it grabs our attention and gives us a feeling that it is more artistic. There is another reason of black and white is impact. Now let us look at this picture. There is a beautiful green background of this image. Green gives us a different language. It gives us a different feeling of soothing, tranquility, and our subject has a pathos. compassion. The photographer wants to draw or evoke the emotion of compassion in the viewer, not soothing or tranquility. So if this picture is in color, it will lose half of its impact. We will not have the feeling of compassion if it is in color, because the green or other colors in the background will distract us from our main subject, and it will give us a different feeling than the feeling of compassion. So such image where we want the color is distracting us from our message, we should shoot that in black and white. Like, let us say this image, beggars, what happened, what dress they wear, आप घर में आए begging, आपके पास पुराना कपड़ा पड़ा है, उनको दे दिए. आपका बच्चा का कपड़ा, it is colorful, floral print है, pink है, red है, green है, वो दे दिए. But if you want to show the pathos, the hunger, the poverty in the picture, that color dress which is showing you of richness and well-being or healthiness will contradict with the image of your subject, and it will distract you from the subject. So there again, if we convert our image into black and white, the impact will be much stronger. It will give us a better emotion. We will connect with it more emotionally, and we will get the right message of pathos or poverty, because it is in black and white. In color, it will not look so strong. You can see this image again. The sky is very beautiful in this image. Let me see. Okay, I have not included that image. I have shot this picture in Goa. The sky was purple blue, beautiful. The early morning shot, the golden light was there. It was looking so beautiful. But what actually I was showing, these two people are dragging their boat out of the sea because a storm was about to come, and they are dragging their boat to a safer place. So, and the pain of this old couple dragging their boat will be totally lost. Their pain or the struggle will be totally lost if this picture was in color, because the color was so beautiful. That means this will look like a beautiful picture rather than showing the struggle of the couple or the fisherman. Same thing if we shoot from unusual angle, whether top angle or bottom angle, not the regular angle what we see things. Also, this makes the picture little more interesting. Similar way, if we shoot from bottom, tulip, generally we shoot from eye level, it will look like ordinary. Same tulip, you shoot from bottom angle, आपका हाथ घुसा दीजिए और cell phone से मार दीजिए, the picture will look like this. So just by shooting from unusual angle also, we can make our subject more interesting and dramatic. Again, an unusual angle of a model. Glamour. Glamour is another element a man can never miss. Female are also, means viewer also will notice. So glamour is also another element which draws attention of the viewer. Controversial subject draws attention of the viewer. So these are the few other guidelines how we can bring attention. Here, these pictures are taken in our last Varanasi workshop. In the same situation, generally what happens, sunrise time, it is generally little orange or yellowish in color, but it was not so yellow. So we have introduced this blue color by changing the white balance setting into shade, and we have changed into tungsten, and we have by changing white balance again by reducing our by increasing our white balance, we have got the warm color in there. So white balance, by changing the white balance also we can make the picture more effective. This is again very tight, unusual framing. एक बार आप देखेंगे तो अरे क्या है सोचेंगे, दोबारा देखेंगे, तीबारा देखेंगे, till your brain recognizes the subject. Curiosity will force you to keep looking at the picture, keep studying at the picture till you know what it is. That is human psychology again. Unusual lighting means regular lighting तो अपन हमेशा देखते हैं. If the lighting used little unusually, that also makes us makes the picture interesting to the human brain. Unusual exposure, whether it is fast shutter speed, slow shutter speed. Why I have included this left side image, if somebody asked me when he saw this image, इतना पानी फव्वारा से कैसे निकल सकता है, आपने फोटोशॉप में बनाया है क्या ये पानी? So he could not realize that just by using a slow shutter speed, those small flow of water also it looked like a waterfall. Just by using a slower shutter speed, we made that water as if it is gushing, and so it is very heavy water is coming out of the shower. And of course, this is a slow shutter speed. This also adds attention to the image. This is a method of panning, means all of you must be knowing how we create panning pictures. So because the effect is a little different than our regular image or regular what we see, because it is little different, it generates curiosity and makes it interesting. Rear curtain sync or strobe. Also, there are ways, means other techniques, how we can make our picture look interesting. Abstract composition, unusual editing. Aajkal editing means people are taking pictures, but many of us are making pictures, very ordinary pictures. With the help of unusual editing, they are creating extraordinary pictures. We must have many such Photoshop artists, I call them. They are Photoshop artists. By unusual editing, they can make very, very ordinary picture into extraordinary pictures. This is also one of the way how we can make our picture interesting. Besides that, because Chhayankan also talks about social photography, addressing a social cause, whether it is corruption, whether it is pollution, whether it is water shortage, whether it is child labor, whether it is human trafficking, means anything, means plastic menace. If we can effectively take a picture, the moment you look at this picture, it is so strong. Immediately the message that there is a shortage of water and people are fighting for water and how much shortage is there, it drives home. You cannot immediately this gives. So photography, if it is we include a big landscape here and the main subject is too small, it loses the impact. So while trying to give a social message, we must apply the knowledge of photography, knowledge of composition. We must apply what knowledge we have acquired to make our subject stand out and drive home the message we want to give. So this is also one of the picture. This is the last picture in my thing. There is another technique how we should practice creating or the composition project, I call it. You take one subject, you go out, see one interesting subject, shoot it from many angles, 4 or 5 different angles, different technique you apply, and see what is finally. You look at those images, give a break, and look at those images after a gap. Then you will be able to assess them beautifully, which is the strongest image of that. If you keep doing that, very soon you will learn that how to compose a picture effectively to drive home the message. There is one more thing I wanted, but it is already 8:10. I think we will not go into that. That is how we should, if we apply farting, or if we fart, it improves our image immensely. We will discuss about that, because this again it will take some time. We will discuss about that later. So if there are any questions, we can take, sir.
Thank you, sir. Quite a lot of information I can see, and it was a tiring presentation for you. But I think it will become more purposeful if viewers have some questions, and they can unmute themselves and ask the question one by one. in between,
or they can write in the chat box.
you can write in the chat box also. From the questions so far presented by viewers, I can take up one question. As distinction in photography are concerned, is there any recognition from any of the universities on the globe? So this is not connected to our topic of the webinar, but still, if it can be answered.
No, I will. He is talking about distinction. I will request Anil ji to. He has handled it so beautifully yesterday, and it was a long, very educative webinar. I will request Anil ji if he doesn't mind to answer this.
Thank you, Agrawal Saab. Unfortunately, no institution and university at present recognizing these international distinctions. It is unfortunate, but it is said that the Fellowship of Royal Photographic Society of Great Britain and the Master Federation International d'Art Photographic of FIEP are equal to the thesis, and the lower distinction to that is equal to the post-graduation. So, but it's unfortunate that no university is recognizing. Maybe in the future they may hope for the best, but at present none of the institution and university used to recognize this distinction. But whether they recognize or not, these distinctions had got the international value, immense value. When you are having these distinctions, means you have done a lot of work using the medium of photography, and your work has been recognized by an international institution itself. So whether they recognize or not, let it be. These distinctions has got their own value.
Thank you,
There
sir.
are two more questions, sir, from the audience. What about colors when converted in black and white, that is monochrome?
What about color?
When it is converted to black and white, that is monochrome.
Yeah, when the color picture is converted into black and white, it is called monochrome. Yes.
So, sir, I think the question is about that when you talked about the color, like composition, what kind of color, cool, warm, strong, you use. So, when we are going for black and white, the different colors go into the background. So, how to see the, like, that's the, am I in a position to express it, sir? In your presentation, you talked about the colors, the different colors. This colors in this, the green in this, or violet in the for this.
Yes.
When it is black and white monochrome,
yes.
Then what about those colors?
Yeah, color. He is asking about the language of tones.
Yes,
in
yes,
black and
sir.
white.
Right. Sir.
Yeah.
It is in that context.
So white is for peace, innocence, simplicity. Gray is for maturity, and black is for grief, sadness, and sophistication. So wherever he wants to show means a mature person's look, he wants to means we want to give, we have to use gray or dark gray. Wherever we want to a child, we should shoot in high key because innocence and simplicity. And if we want to show grief or means a old person, black goes well. So this is a broader language. It doesn't mean that we cannot shoot a child in black or we cannot shoot a elderly person in white. But the language of color is that. So white, gray, and black. Then there are many shades of gray in between. But the message is that. The language is that.
We had many questions from our members pre-webinar. They have asked the questions, and I think, sir, you very nicely covered all the questions. I can see I have the list of those questions, but I can see that every question you have covered during the webinar. If all the present members, they had asked question and it has been answered, it's good. If they still feel there is no one question which is not answered to their satisfaction, they can raise the query here in the chat.
They can write in the chat box.
Yes. But you point to point, you have answered every question, sir. that I have.
I had seen those questions which was already covered, so I thought after the webinar they will know it would have. And this content of the webinar, even images, even points, I have included keeping in mind mostly the amateur photographer, not for our stalwarts, legendary photographers. They must be laughing at me. What is this?
No, at all, sir. We have got, we have learned also. So don't say like this.
You are very modest.
Sir, your talk is always a teaching to us. It's always a teaching. We always like it. Nicely explained everything.
और जितने सब्जेक्ट आपने उसमें मतलब कंपोजिशन में समाये और उसको जस्टिफाई किया, जैसे लेफ्ट एंड राइट फोटोग्राफ में वो अगर बच्चे और माँ का दिखा के आपने वो बताया कि कितनी इम्पैक्ट बदल जाती है, वो सब बहुत इंस्पायरिंग था और बहुत नया था सबके लिए. तो ऐसा मत कहिए सर.
Thank you very much.
Sir, there is one more question. What should I give priority during capture a image storytelling frame or rather than composition? If storytelling looks much more pleasant rather than composition framing, is it acceptable framing for salon?
Yeah, storytelling, देखिए, salon is a totally different ball game. And storytelling is actually, photography is a tool to tell stories, to send a message through our picture. वो composition and salon is a different ballgame. वो तो acceptance और awards के लिए है. But definitely, even in salons, your picture is properly composed, properly lit, conforming to the pictorial rules, and still it is storytelling. It will have its impact. Like in photojournalism, it is the story finally. It is not the pictorial rules what matters. In travel photography, besides the pictorial rules, it is the content what matters. So definitely in journalism picture, travel picture, the story is also equally important. But in pictorial, this thing, besides story, composition, rule of composition is very important in pictorial photography.
सर, मुझे एक सवाल पूछने का था. आपने जो बताया था इंडियन लैंग्वेज के बारे में, मतलब इंडियंस के बारे में, कॉम्पोजिशन का, एक दो लड़की अपना सी बीच के ऊपर खड़ी है और लेफ्ट हैंड आपने फ्लिप ओवर करके बताया था कि लेफ्ट टू राइट वी सी जनरली इट इज अ प्लीजिंग फॉर इंडियन पीपल.
Yes.
Yeah, so if I want to put, you can say the same type of, not that this picture, but same type of picture in the international saloon, then yes. What should be the, you can buy composition left to right or right to left?
नहीं, आप कौन सा, it depends to which country you are sending. If you are sending to a country who writes from left to right, this applies. If you are sending to a country where they write from right to left, like let us say Urdu hai, Pakistan hai, there are such language, then you just flip it horizontally and send. But when you flip it horizontally, make sure that there is no written material behind. अगर वो हिंदी में लिखा है तो चलेगा, उनको हिंदी नहीं आती है.
ओके.
लेकिन अगर वो इंग्लिश में लिखा है तो वो समझ जाएंगे कि फ्लिप क्या हुआ है.
ओके.
The same thing when we shoot sari, if it is advertising, मतलब particularly आप कोई लड़के का, मतलब if it is a commercial image, आप अगर साड़ी पहनी हुई लड़की को फ्लिप कर दिए तो वो हाँ दुपट्टा किधर गिरता है उनको पता है. तो वो that will look odd.
लो इस तरफ आएगा.
तो आप बदमाशी कर भी रहे हैं, आप फ्लिप कर रहे हैं तो भी कॉमन सेंस यूज करना पड़ेगा.
या ओके.
हेलो.
गुड आंसर सर.
थैंक यू.
हेलो सर. हेलो.
यस सर.
एक्चुअली में मेरा एक सवाल है.
हाँ जी सर.
कई दफा मैं सोचता रहता हूँ कि जैसे सैलून में अभी पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं, तो अंडर वाइल्ड लाइफ कैटेगरी क्या होता है, मोस्टली जो मीटिंग वाले फोटोग्राफ्स होते हैं एनिमल्स के, उनको बहुत अवार्ड्स मिलते हैं. कोई भी होगा, हाइना का होगा, टाइगर का होगा, लॉयन का होगा, एलिफेंट का, राइनो, मोस्टली अवार्ड इमीडिएटली उसमें मिलते हैं. तो आर वी नॉट वायलेटिंग द प्राइवेसी ऑफ द एनिमल्स इन पुटिंग दोज फोटोग्राफ्स इन सैलून? मेरा वो कई दफा मैं सोचता हूँ ये क्वेश्चन मैंने कहा इसका जवाब मेरे को अभी तक कहीं मिला नहीं सर।
देखिए उसको अवार्ड इसलिए मिलता है बिकॉज ऑफ द रेयरिटी ऑफ द एक्शन. How many people have captured an animal in mating position means वो तो बहुत luck के ऊपर भी depend करता है and then successfully capturing it because that particular action in animal kingdom it is not very common that anybody can capture it. Then means इसीलिए उसको award मिलता है क्योंकि means rare action is captured. That is the reason behind the award, not because it is a obscene act. अच्छा. Now regarding ये क्वेश्चन जो आप पूछे जैन साहब, ये हुआ है. मैं एक आध एग्जीबिशन में था जहाँ पे जजेस लोगों को न्यूडिटी के ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा ऑब्जेक्शन था. दे वर ब्लेटेंटली मींस रिजेक्टिंग न्यूड इमेजेस, इवन एनिमल इमेजेस व्हेन इट वाज इन मेटिंग एक्शन. They were rejecting it, not giving awards because it was the psychology of those jury, the panel of jury who were against nudity. वो पार्टिसिपेंट को तो पता भी नहीं चला होगा क्यों उसका फोटो रिजेक्ट हो गया. और जहाँ पे people have not that kind of mindset, they will give award because of the rarity of the action.
ठीक है. Actually again it depends कि कितना वो.
Yeah, it depends how broad minded, how do you take it, how
broad minded we are, how we are looking at the things.
how because डिजिटल फोटोग्राफी आने के बाद पहले देखिए बाकी कोई भी डिवीजन में इतना चेंजेस नहीं हुआ है फोटोग्राफी में जितना वाइल्ड लाइफ में हुआ है. क्योंकि डिजिटल फोटोग्राफी आने के बाद आईएसओ अपने हाथ में आ गया, अच्छे लेंसेस आ गए, एक्शन शॉट्स फोकसिंग इजी हो गया. एक्शन मतलब अपना कंटिन्यूअस शॉट ले पाते हैं. तो वो जमाना गया जब खाली एक एनिमल शार्प और क्लोजअप आप ले लिए तो उसको एक्सेप्ट मिल जाता था. अभी एक्सेप्टेंस ही नहीं मिलेगा अगर एनिमल खाली सीधा खड़ा है तो. एक्शन में नहीं है अगर फोटोग्राफ तो उसको एक्सेप्टेंस मिलेगा ही नहीं. तो यू मस्ट लुक फॉर ए एक्शन इन इवन वाइल्ड लाइफ फोटोग्राफी.
बिल्कुल ठीक है, थैंक यू सर.
और सर मैं एक बात कहना चाहता हूँ इस बारे में कि वाइल्ड लाइफ फोटोग्राफी में हम लोग नीचे नहीं उतरते. जिप्सी से फोटो लिया जाता है और फ्रॉम द फार इट इज टेकन. If it is a hyena, it is the tiger or a lion, whatever it is. Yes. From the far it is taken. So we are not breaking any rule as such of the wildlife.
उसको लाइटर सेंस में बोलेंगे तो वो लोग पब्लिक में मेट करेंगे तो हमको फोटो लेने में क्या दिक्कत है?
नहीं पब्लिक में आएगा नहीं ना वो.
हम लोग
वो आएगा नहीं पब्लिक में. पब्लिक में आएगा तो को मारेंगे पहला.
I'm telling you lighter vein, please.
या राइट. भाई आपने देखा होगा कि लेपर्ड कोई महाराष्ट्र में घूमता है तो उसको पहला मारा जाता है. उसको मैन ईटर बोलते हैं और मारते हैं उसको.
वेरी वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट.
It is unfair.
इसका कुछ कर नहीं सकते. That is a conflict between man and animal.
खाली लेपर्ड क्यों सर, सांप को भी मारते हैं.
सांप को भी मारते हैं. सभी को जिसको पूछते हैं कि हार्मफुल है हमारे लिए उसको सबको मार देते हैं.
अरे कॉकरोच को ही मार देते हैं, मच्छर को मार. Anyway,
सर मुझे एक सवाल पूछना है कि जब एक हम होराइजन से इमेज स्प्लिट करते हैं दो पार्ट्स में तो हम कहते हैं कि दो इमेज बन गई. तो आर देयर एनी अदर इंस्टेंसेस वेयर बाय वी आर स्प्लिटिंग द इमेजेस इनटू टू?
हाँ, अगर बीच में एक पेड़ है तो दिस इज आल्सो वर्टिकली डिवाइडिंग इनटू टू. अगर एक पैरापेट वॉल है, होराइजन नहीं है, तो दैट इज आल्सो डिवाइडिंग द इमेज इनटू टू.
राइट सर.
So any strong line in the middle divides the image into two. Any strong lines. It a horizon अपन बोलते हैं, ये इसका मतलब अगर horizon is misty, if it is a foggy day और mist है तो उसमें तो horizon दिखता ही नहीं है. तो horizon वहाँ center में होने से भी it is not objectionable because it should not be a strong line dividing your frame. It is whether it is a horizon or any other line.
Right sir, thank you.
कोला साहब, आपके दिल में कुछ था?
सर मैं आपसे, आप मेरा गुरुजी है, 20 साल से मैं फॉलो कर रहा हूँ आपको. थोड़ा इतना नाम कमाया आपके वजह से आया मेरे को. मैं क्या बोलूं सर, मगर आपने आज में एक सब्जेक्ट के लिए मैंने सीख लिया सर आज वो लेफ्ट टू राइट या राइट टू लेफ्ट, अभी तक मैंने नहीं सुना सर, आज ही सुना मैंने. थैंक्स फॉर दैट. थैंक यू.
I think अमिताभ साहब, टाइम
Sir,
और कोई क्वेश्चन है?
if anyone is having any question, तो सर अभी आपको और कोई स्लाइड में बोलना है कि now we
No, if I touch that subject, वो आधा घंटा लग जाएगा.
अच्छा,
नहीं, अभी मेरे को खाली कॉम्प्लीमेंट करने का अग्रवाल जी को, हेलो, कॉम्प्लीमेंट करने का अग्रवाल जी को कि उन्होंने ये जो सब्जेक्ट है कंपोजिशन का इतना ड्रास्टिकली सिंप्लीफाइड कर दिया है कि अभी हर एक के उसमें जहन में बैठ गया है कि फोटो लेने के टाइम पर किस तरह से कंपोजिशन को ध्यान में रखते हुए फोटो लेना चाहिए, जिससे कि उनके फोटो जो है हमेशा सैलून में एक्सेप्ट हो जाए.
सैलून ही एक चीज है, मतलब
सैलून हर चीज नहीं होती है सर.
वो बिल्कुल सही बोला आपने,
मत
बिल्कुल हर
लाइए.
चीज नहीं होती है.
फोटोग्राफी आपके
क्या
प्लेजर के
होता
लिए
है
होनी
आजकल
चाहिए.
इतने सैलून आ गए मार्केट में, हर रोज कम से कम 10 सैलून आ रहे हैं और हर एक आदमी जो है उसके पीछे दौड़ रहा, तो उस हिसाब से मैं बोल रहा हूँ मार्केट गर्म है आजकल.
आप सोशल फोटोग्राफी में भी अप्लाई कीजिए सर, रूल ऑफ कंपोजिशन.
Excellent show, sir. Our compliments and beautiful presentation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So, सर मैं सबसे पहले तो विजय सर को थैंक्स देना चाहूँगा कि मुझे मालूम है कि ये पूरा का पूरा प्रेजेंटेशन उन्होंने इस वेबिनार के लिए पूरा फ्रेश तैयार किया है, और लुकिंग टू द 114 स्लाइड्स ही प्रिपेयर्ड, how much of the time and how much effort he would have given from his busy schedule that each one of us can appreciate. और उनका डेप्थ ऑफ नॉलेज और अंडरस्टैंडिंग अबाउट कंपोजिशन कितने रिच है, वो इससे दिख रहा है कि उन्होंने जिस तरीके से सारी चीज़ों को स्मूथली और जस्ट ऑन द फिंगर टिप्स एक्सप्लेन किया है. दैट्स अमेजिंग. आई एम श्योर दैट द बिगिनर्स, राइट फ्रॉम बिगिनर who had no knowledge of photography, from that to the experts, all benefited from this webinar. The attendance itself shows the warmth of the webinar. Almost for the entire duration, the house was full with 100, fluctuating with 1 or 2 quitting and then 1 or 2 joining. Even I can see a few people are entering right now. They might not have got. So sir, the whole presentation was so interesting to everyone. I can see a lot of compliments coming, but no effort is rewarded or successful unless all the participants. Also, my thanks from the bottom of heart for all the people who joined, especially to the people like Anil Risal Singh, Krish Kapoor sir, Kola Venkateshwarlu, Pritesh Rao, many. So many big people who have been also presenting. They gave full time to the presentation. Thanks a lot, and we would certainly revert back with more webinars in time to come and keep informed. Thank you and supporting.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Anil ji.
And recording will be available on Facebook. If anyone has missed any part of it, the links will be shared. They can join. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, sir.
If permission is there, I can close the meeting, sir. Sir, Bijay sir, आपका permission है तो मैं meeting close करूं?
Yeah, please.
एक बार clap तो कर दो. Thank you.